because the topic we have next is pretty important. So I want to encourage you to grab a seat. We're going to welcome Greg Garvey, who's the Executive Director of the Coalition to Protect Kids, New York. Greg Garvey is helping to lead this effort. We'll have some display materials out in the vending tables in the hall shortly, so I'd encourage you through the course of today and tomorrow to pick those up. But this is an initiative will be about this November you should be aware of. Would you welcome with me Mr. Greg Garvey.
Morning, everybody. I will apologize in advance. I've been battling the flu most of this week, so please pardon any coughing fits. It's really an honor to be here with each of you today. Thank you to the chairman. Looks like he stepped out, but it's really Thank you, Chairman, for hosting this fantastic conference and giving us the opportunity to discuss some of the most pressing issues facing our beautiful state. My name is Greg Garvey. I am the Executive Director of the Coalition to Protect Kids, New York. I'm sure I've crossed paths with many of you before, as I've been working on campaigns up and down the ticket here in New York for over 15 years. I'd like to give a quick shout out to former Congressman John Faso, who's in the back there, and Michelle Corsi, a part of our team too. Brilliant minds helping to move this issue forward. So who are we? The Coalition to Protect Kids New York is a ballot issue committee registered with the New York State Board of Elections. We are comprised of New Yorkers from all walks of life dedicated to defeating the so-called Equal Rights Amendment to the New York State Constitution, or, as we call it, the Parent Replacement Act. As I'll explain today, the Equal Rights Amendment is a one-size-fits-all disaster of a law that could eliminate well-established societal guide rails we can all agree on, and it guts legal parental rights as we know it. The issue cuts across all lines: conservative, liberal, rich, poor, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, you name it. Our opinion, and I think you'll agree, is that parents know what's best for their kids, not the government. So what is the ERA? New York is looking to amend the state constitution through a statewide popular vote this coming election day on November 5th. After rushing through the legislation through both the Assembly and the Senate last year, legislators here in Albany hope the state constitution says unequivocally that laws and entities like the government itself, schools, companies, etc., cannot discriminate on the basis of categories like age, gender identity, gender expression, and reproductive health care and autonomy. Here you can see all of the proposed changes. Other additions include ethnicity, national origin, disability, pregnancy, and pregnancy outcomes. For the most part, this new wording might appear innocuous to the casual reader, and we are, of course, all for equal rights. But once we understand the real-life legal ramifications of this poorly written, one-size-fits-all amendment, you'll quickly understand just how absurd it is. Not to mention the proverbial Pandora's box of far-left social issues this opens us up to. So, New York already has the Equal Rights Amendment. In addition to the original amendment, there are numerous other equal and human rights laws on the books here in New York. This amendment change is purely political theater, fear-mongering, and window dressing meant to increase turnout during a presidential election year. So let's take a moment and ask ourselves some questions about what it means to be able to discriminate based on things like age and gender identity, and what some possible legal ramifications might be. Should laws that determine the legal age to purchase or consume alcohol or cannabis be voided? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you guys are going to say no, and me too. Should laws that require regarding elder abuse be voided, or purchasing a gun? Again, I'm going to say no. Elder abuse, I think we all stand firmly with, those laws should stay in the books. Should statutory rape laws that protect against sex with minors be voided? Again, I don't think I'm going to be crazy here. I think we're going to say no. And finally, should minors have the right to irreversible surgical and non-surgical transgender procedures without parental notice or consent? That includes puberty blocking treatment, hormone replacement therapy, and gender reassignment surgeries? Again, no. So, if these poorly written, one-size-fits-all additions to the amendment pass, each of these common sense guardrails that protect kids could be deemed unconstitutional under the New York State Constitution. Now that is crazy. So what are some key takeaways here? The New York State government could have more authority than parents in making medical and other important decisions for their children. Statutory rape laws that protect against sex with minors or enhance penalties for attacks against those over the age of 65 could be deemed unconstitutional. And children under the 18 could have the right to surgical and non-surgical transgender procedures without their parents' approval. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. Don't just take my word for it here. There are several bills currently sitting buried in legislative committees here in Albany in the legislature ready for passage should the ERA pass that would gut parental rights here in New York. The first one here I have listed allows minors to make their own medical decisions without parental knowledge or consent. Decisions include medical, dental, health, and hospital services. Parents, or this is the crazy part, parents or their insurance will still have to pay for these kind of things even if the child doesn't want them to know. And if they still don't want the parent to find out once they go through it, the parents have to pay for it and they just get an unitemized insurance bill. And then the next one here provides treatment for sexually transmitted diseases up to minors without a parent or guardian's consent. It allows giving drugs and vaccines for STDs to children without parental knowledge or consent. And finally, here, this last bill requires comprehensive sexuality instruction for students in grades kindergarten through 12. That's right, I didn't misspeak. Comprehensive sex ed starting in kindergarten. What are we doing here? The piece de resistance, as I like to say, the 2023 New York State Education Department's legal update and best practices document released late last year. As you might imagine, every possible DE&I buzzword is included in here, but some of these are quoted directly from the memo. Students are not required to obtain parental consent or a court-ordered name or gender change before being addressed by their affirmed name and pronouns. The student is in charge of their gender transition, and the school's role is to provide support. Some students have not talked to their families about their gender identity because of safety concerns or lack of acceptance and may begin their transition at school without parent knowledge. Only the student knows whether it is safe to share their identity with caregivers, and schools should be mindful of that. Some students do not want or cannot have their parents know about their transgender status. The paramount consideration in those situations is protecting the health and safety of the student, assuring that student's gender identity is affirmed and that their privacy and confidentiality are maintained. So, understanding the political landscape is especially important as we assess avenues to victory here. As it relates to other ballot measures that have failed in other states recently, just about every single initiative was abortion-specific. Most notably, Ohio's Issue 1. We have a significant head start and multiple angles of attack at our disposal here, specifically parental rights. Also, New York's amendment language is much more broad and literal, leaving literal up for debate. Our organization conducted a poll in October, and results were extremely encouraging. Polling found that the ERA supports out strong among respondents upon first reading of the amendment, with 63% in support, 24% against, 13% undecided. After poll respondents were educated on the potential legal impacts, support for the ERA plummets to 29% in favor and 49% against, with 22% undecided. I didn't misspeak there. Support dropped from 63% to 29%. That's a big deal. So we've been working hard here since late last year. We are very proud of the work we've been able to put together in the last several months, and we are extremely excited as we look ahead. Our coalition has assembled an ever-growing group of supporting 501c3 and C4 organizations all across New York State, a board of directors consisting of former elected officials and New York State movers and shakers, some of the smartest folks I've had the pleasure of working with. In addition to serving as the executive director / campaign manager here, we have a seasoned group of communications, digital, and fundraising professionals who know how to win, execute, and know how to win, most importantly. Finally, we were also being extremely data-driven and strategic in how we do this. I mean, Democrats can blow us out of the water on TV with millions of dollars, no question. Doing voter modeling and every which way you can be as smart as possible and as cost-efficient as possible so we can make sure we defeat this amendment. Also, a strong ground game is going to be essential to being successful here in November. We have been building a diverse grassroots network across New York State since late last year. Volunteers have already begun canvassing door to door, and this will only continue to grow. We continue to build on this foundation and hope to partner with each of you. Even our first town hall style meeting is coming up in early March in Rochester. We're going to be looking to hold these kinds of meetings in person and digitally all across the state, nonstop. As fast as we can book them, as fast as we'll have them and keep doing so. So it's really exciting stuff. So what can we do here? What can you guys do? So first of all, tell everyone you know, and even the people that you don't know, vote no on Election Day. We have a website up, protectkidsnewyork.com. Please check that out. Sign up to volunteer. Sign up to be a part of our coalition. We'd love to add you to our email lists. Follow up our social media channels. Amplify our content. We could use all the help we could get there too. But most importantly, we want to work with each and every single one of you here today and not here today. We'd love to schedule calls or town halls with your respective networks. Tap into the Conservative Party all across the state in every chapter in every county, and send a message to the country that we won't stand for this anymore. Thank you.